Today's episode of the Outline Podcast is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering the listeners of this podcast one free audiobook and a 30-day free trial. You can get these by going to www.audibletrial.com/outlinepod. Once again, that's www.audibletrial.com/outlinepod. Let's start the show.
This is the outline with Kevin Dwayne. Kevin Dwayne. Kevin Dwayne with Kevin Dwayne.
Yo, what's up? It's The Outline with Kevin Dwayne. It is Wednesday, and that means time for another show. Hope your week is going well after a wonderful holiday weekend. So, as you know, I live in Atlanta, so it was a Black Pride weekend because we have like 3 different prides here. So, in October, that is the kind of everyone pride. A lot of people call it the white pride because it's heavily funded and they pull out all the bells and whistles and stops for that one. Like literally everything is overdone in October. So that's when everyone goes out, but it is a mixture. It is heavily white, but there is a mixture of different communities there. So that's the huge one. January, Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, that's kind of like the unofficial Black Pride. Everyone flies out here and it's still very lit, but it's unofficial. And then September, Labor Day weekend, is Black Pride here in Atlanta. So there's 3 opportunities to get your life. I always tell people when they either visit or when they move here, they're always like, oh, I missed Pride. I'm like, child, you have a couple of opportunities. Like, it's okay. And if you live in Atlanta, you know that the clubs and stuff are pretty much the same throughout the year anyway. Like there's places you can go that'll be filled with people and it's already overcrowded as is. So it's not really a huge deal, but you know, to each his own. So I did get a chance to get out a little bit this weekend because I had friends in town from LA. So I was super excited to see them. I always love seeing old faces and just connecting like time hadn't gone by at all. You know, some people I haven't seen in like almost 5 years. So it was really nice to just connect. So it started off on Saturday because Friday I was over it. Let me tell you, I'm working on these 2 projects right now for the month of September, and I'll tell you more about that a little later, but it's taking up so much of my time. So Friday, after I did my 9 to 5 and it was time to be done for the week, I laid on this damn couch and I think I watched CB4, the movie that came out like in 93 with Chris Rock, Alan Payne's fine ass. Whew, yes. And Candy Alexander, she was so funny. I love her. She plays Mama Pope now on Scandal. But anyway, watched CB4 and I was in bed by 10 p.m. No lie. I had my oil diffuser on, which I love even more now. I finally started using the speaker on it. And that and lavender, baby, let me tell you, between right now, my favorites are lavender and lemongrass separately, of course, but they smell so good and I sleep so well with that thing, but that's a whole nother story. Get your oil diffuser. But all that to say, I went to bed early on Friday. So on Saturday morning, I woke up early and I thought I was going to go to yoga that day. That was the only thing I had on my schedule. I'm like, I'm going to go to yoga. If anything else, I'm going to yoga and I'll probably bring my ass home and not do anything else because that was the plan. But then one of my friends, Eric, hit me up that morning and was like, hey, I'm in town. Do you want to grab coffee or something? And I'm like, that's perfect because I don't fucking eat until 12 because I'm intermittent fasting. So I like that you're asking me out to coffee. I can drink coffee, black, no cream. You can do a little unsweet, you know, like one of those fake sugars or whatever, but you can't have calories before you break your fast. But I was like, cool. I will meet you at, I think I said Octane, which is in West Midtown. So I was thinking, I was like, all right, I can go meet him for breakfast, but then I have yoga at 12:30. I wonder how these are going to collide. Do I take clothes with me? Do I go wearing my yoga stuff? How should I do this? And then I thought to myself, I said, so how about you skip yoga today? You have people in town, there's stuff going on in the city. Skip yoga. Go have some fun. Go thought around. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to listen to myself and do that. So I ended up not going to yoga. I ended up meeting Eric at Revelator because on our way to Octane, he was going to another location. So I was like, you know what? Just meet me at Revelator. And Revelator is a really cute coffee shop off of 14th Street, just before you get to Howell Mill if you're in Atlanta. It's super cute, really quaint. The styling is cool. They give you like actual mugs and actual plates, and the presentation is really, really good. They have great kombucha, cute art on the walls and stuff, and it's a great place to do work. It's super cute. Revelator, go check it out. So we met up. We, play catch up. How are things going here? And how are you doing in Atlanta? All the pleasantries and stuff like that. So we talked for about an hour, maybe hour and a half. And then another friend that we mutually know hit him up and was like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm with Kevin. So that friend was like, hey, you guys should come here. So we go from West Midtown to Snellville. And if you know anything about Georgia, that's like, they're not the closest to each other. It was like 35-minute drive for me. So went to Snellville, and saw some friends there. Some other friends were in town from Milwaukee and Los Angeles as well. So met up with them, play catch up. We go to the package store. They're like, hey, you got a drink. So we go to the package store, get some vodka, come back. And then we end up sitting on the back deck of my friend's house. He has a beautiful home. We sat on the deck and kind of just talked and chatted and joked and did what we did. And so I invited another friend, Mike, who was on the show a while back, Hollywood Mike. He came over and then we chilled some more. So at this point, we're like, what should we do next? We're like, oh, let's go to one of the day parties. There's one at Havana, there's one at Bulldogs, and there's one at, what was the third place? Mix. We're like, okay, let's just go to Bulldogs because that's the one we all mutually heard about. So we're like, cool. So me and Mike ended up following Eric back to his hotel so he could change, which I'm like, nigga, we're in our clothes all damn day. Why are you changing? But you got to let people do what they're going to do. So we went back to his place, whatever. We started drinking some more there, had some Hennessy, which I didn't realize that I totally switched up my drinks. I mean, I didn't get sick or anything, but I just realized that. Okay, so we went from vodka to Hennessy. So I had some Hennessy there, and then I remember having a shot as well. So we were drinking there. So by the time we get in the car, I wasn't driving anymore. Got to be safe. Eric drove. We got in the car. I was like, okay, I'm super lit right now, and it's like 4 or 5 o'clock at this point. So we drive down to Bulldogs, get to Bulldogs, and more drinks there. And at this point, I'm just turned up. Like, we're partying, we're dancing hard, met up with another friend, Christopher. And it was just, it was a good time. We had a good time. So after that, we ended up leaving. And at this point, I'm just following people. I'm too lit to even know what's happening. I guess they made a decision that it was time to go. And they're like, hey, Kevin, come on. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm following them. So if you've been to Bulldogs, there's like a couple little food spots next door to it. I don't know if Benzino's had a spot over there. I don't know if it's still open or whatever. Benzino has a spot there. And there's a little falafel spot called Bezzeria. And so I was like, hey, I need another meal because I'm hungry, like as fuck at this point, and I don't want my window to close, and I haven't, eaten well. And they're like, okay. So I ended up running to the falafel spot and getting like this little veggie pita situation. It was good as fuck too. In fact, I think I had 2. Yeah, I got one. I think I went back and got another one, but I only ate part of it and wrapped it up to go and just kept it with me for later. So we stayed there for a minute. And then once again, somebody drove up in a classic car, and then Mikey jumped on top of it. And I took a picture of that was on Instagram, and everyone thought it was me. And I'm like, no, it's not me. I know y'all see light skin and think we all look alike, but no, that wasn't me. That was him. Don't mean I wouldn't do it though, but it wasn't me that time. So did that. Then we ended up going to Havana, but Havana was crowded and they weren't letting any more people in. So then we end up going back to Einstein's and just having dinner and chilling and drinking some more. And then after that, went home. And I was actually at home by like midnight. That's the crazy thing. Like I was gone from 9 a.m. that morning, maybe 8:45 that morning. Got back home at midnight, which is pretty decent. If you ask me, I was cool with that. So slept that off. The next morning was the park. Everyone was going to the park. People were either going to go to Grant Park for House in the Park, which I wish I would have went to, or they were going to Piedmont Park, where the majority goes, because that's just the thing to do on Sundays. So Charlie, who's been on the show as well, he hit me up and said, hey, do you want to meet me a little earlier in Midtown so we can get something to eat? And I'm like, sure. And that way I wanted to go early so I could park and not have to deal with all the traffic and stuff that comes around like 2-3 o'clock because everyone goes at the same time. So met up with him in Midtown. We went to the Lawrence for breakfast. Can't really call it brunch because it was like 11 and they weren't serving alcohol yet. So we had a quick little bite there. And we ate until about 12:20. And I was like, hey, we got 10 minutes. We can walk to the package store and it'll be open by the time we get there. And so we walked to the package store, got some, it's called Deep Eddies or Deep Eddies. It's like a little vodka drink or whatever. Got those bottles, went to Jimmy John's to get like one of those large ass cups. Put a little lemonade in there, made a little cocktail. Well, it was a big cocktail because we got the large cups and just pour the whole bottle of the Deep Eddies in there. Oh my God. And so those were our sippy cups for the next couple hours. So we ended up walking to the park, kind of still coherent. I came up on $30 because, every year at the park, if you're ever going to Pride, there's always people out there who want you to get tested and, and be responsible. But there's some people who offer you money. As soon as we got there, someone's like, you want an opportunity to make $30? I'm like, oh shit, doing what? They're like, oh, fill out this survey and take an HIV test. And I'm just like, well, shit, I'm on PrEP any goddamn way. And I just got tested. So it's not really a matter of anxiety at this point. It's just like, I could use $30. So I was like, sure. So I took that long ass survey. It took like 15 minutes and it asked you so many questions, like so many fucking questions. And what cracked me up about the shit was it asks you how many sexual partners you've had in like the last year. Like they usually do, right? But it was on a tablet. So when you put a number in, let's say you put 10, I had sex with 10 people. On every page, it'll be like, of these 10 people, yada, yada, yada. Next page. Out of those 10, okay, about that 10 again, it just reminds you of the number that you put in. I'm like, bitch, this thing is shady as fuck. And so did that for like 15 minutes. There was this weird ass dude there who kept trying to hand me his glasses. And I don't even, let me tell you about this dude really quick because it was awkward. And I think he may have been mentally disabled, to say the least, because when me and Charles were walking to the park, he saw us on the corner and he's like, hey, can I walk with y'all? Because white people make me uncomfortable. And we both were like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, that's odd. I mean, I'm sure you can follow close behind, but that's weird for us because we don't know you. And you just randomly just said, hey, can I walk with you? So he's literally kind of following us in a way. And then at a certain corner, I saw someone that I knew and I stopped to hug them and then he kept walking. And I was like, okay, that was awkward, but over. So when we get back to the testing thing, he's there too. So he ends up doing one as well. And he's like next to me. And all of a sudden his glasses are in my face. Like he's trying to hand them to me. And I'm just looking at him like he's crazy as fuck. I'm like, just looking at him like, what the fuck? He's like, can you take them? I'm like, no, I can't. I don't fucking know you. And so he ends up like putting them next to me. And I'm like, what the fuck is this dude's deal? So I was like, whatever. So I continued doing my thing, finished up the little tablet. And then they gave me, I got my little blood test sample. They're like, do you want the results? I'm like, I mean, you can send them to me, I guess, or call me if something happens. But no, I really don't. I just got tested like last week or something. Like I get tested so often now that I'm on PrEP. So I'm like, yeah, it's on you, but I just want the money. So go ahead and do that. And so they gave me a little receipt. I got my $30 and I was lit for that. I was like, oh, this is great. I can get me a meal. So we start walking around the park and they had a vegan food truck there. I towed that down. Saw some people I knew, took pictures with people. But at a certain point, I got really, 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 really lit. And I mean, to the point that I couldn't see straight anymore. And it got to a point that I was just like, yeah, y'all, I don't want to embarrass myself out here. And I knew because I think I hugged someone that I knew and they were like, you good? And I was like, see, yeah, no. The fact that they're asking me that means I'm starting to show my ass a little bit. So I told my friends, I was like, okay, I'm a little too out of it right now to be in this park anymore. All I ask is that you just walk me back to my car. Just get me back to my back seat. I'm not gonna drive. I don't play with my life and I don't play with DUIs. But just get me to my car and I will lay in my back seat so I can sober up because I don't want to embarrass myself in this park. And so they did just that. They walked me to my car, rolled down some windows so I could have some air and stuff, and I laid in my back seat for a little bit because I was so lit. Like that everything was just catching up at once. It was way too much. Like it was overwhelming. Kind of like that embarrassing overwhelming, like, damn, I'm too grown to be this fucked up. And it was like, yeah, lay your ass down. So, and that's a punishment in itself. There's nothing worse than feeling like you're not in control of yourself because you're inebriated. And then you're just kind of laying there like, fuck, can this pass so I can go on with my life? Because I didn't want to lay in my car for hours. I'm like, fuck, this sucks. And so I had another friend who lived like 5 blocks down. And I was talking to them. They're like, well, hey, I don't want you to drive. But if you can get here, you can at least, chill here. And I was like, okay. So I ended up kind of getting enough, I can't even say sober because it wasn't even sober. But I ended up getting enough nerve to leave my car, lock my car, and then walk the 5 blocks to their place. And I made it there, and I just kind of laid on their couch until I sobered up, and that was cool. But yeah, I did way too much on Sunday, like way too much. It's like to the point that you're having a good time, and then you hit this place where you fucked up. That happened to me. There was a certain point where I was like, yeah, I fucked up. I really, really fucked up because I am toe up right now, and I feel bad about it, and I feel like I missed out on hanging with some more people and seeing some people that were in town. And, it is what it is. But I also heard that they were shooting at Piedmont Park this year. So maybe, that was just the universe protecting me. But yeah, no, I was fucked up. Like I was so fucked up that I actually ended up missing Insecure that night. I didn't watch it till the next day. And that's a good transition. Let's talk about Insecure for a second. All right. So between Power and Insecure, you ever just get frustrated with the writers of a show? Like we all understand that it's their show. It's their art. It's the story that they want to tell. That's fine. That's your story. I can't tell you how to tell a story. But I'm getting really annoyed between them killing off Raina on Power for no goddamn reason other than to just be shocking, which was just dumb. But now I'm finding myself being really, really irritated by how immature the characters are on Insecure right now. And I get it. They're trying to reveal certain things about that are relatable. All this shit is relatable. It really is. We've all been there. But I can't knock out the fact that all these characters on the show are late 20s, early 30s. And you would think some of these things, you would have the kinks out a little bit. For example, the episode where Issa overreacted about Daniel busting in her face. Like, that was such an overreaction. It was so overdone. It didn't make any sense. It was like, girl, come on now. Have you sucked a dick before? And we know you have because you did on a previous show. So it didn't make any sense. It was dumb. That was an overreaction. But then this week, Daniel apologizes to her. And then there's this whole exchange. And she goes off again, like super, super hard. And it just seemed like an overreaction. I'm just, it's frustrating to watch now because it's like, and this is why it's best not to be team anybody because they're all taking L's, which I do enjoy that part of the writing because no one is really in the right, is really delivering nuance on both sides. And if you notice, everyone is taking hits and everyone is getting called out for their bullshit one way or another. All the shit that we've been arguing about between all the teams is coming out in the show, which is dope. I just wish they didn't make the characters so damn immature. Like, it was triggering as fuck this last week. Like, this last week's show was actually hard to watch. Like, usually I rewatch them a couple times, but it's hard to watch. I'm actually skipping parts because it makes me uncomfortable because of how triggering it is. Kelly is everything. Kelly is dope as fuck. Love her. She's funny as hell. But man, Issa, like, she going through it right now. Like, she's going through it, and so is Lawrence. But I'm curious to see how they're going to end it. I am still annoyed that it's only 8 episodes. And Issa did an interview, not an interview, but you know, they've been having these segments that they've been having for Facebook where they do these live things and they talk about it. And she is making it seem like that's all she wants to do is 8 episodes, and all she wants to do is have 30-minute episodes. She's like, that's all I want to do. So she's saying she's okay with it, but it's just odd that of all the shows on HBO, I'm talking Sex and the City, Game of Thrones, Vinyl, Westworld, they all have 10 to 12 episodes. All have 10 to 12 episodes, or anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. The 30-minute part isn't a huge deal, because even Sex and the City was 30 minutes. But that also had like 12, 13 episodes a season, sometimes more. I don't understand how this one phenomenal Black show only has 8 episodes. It seems like it's too short. Can we have 2 more weeks though? Like, why can't it be 10 at minimum? Game of Thrones has 10. Why can't this have 10? It's just, I don't know. It annoys me. It seems like as soon as the show starts, it's over. It's literally 2 months. You get 2 months of this show and it's a wrap. And anytime that I can watch 2 seasons of a show in 8 hours, I have an issue with that. I really do. You can watch both seasons in a day. It'll just feel like one long ass movie. And I don't know. I want it to be longer. It's a great show. It's funny. It creates conversation, and there needs to be more. It doesn't have to be an hour, but give us 10 episodes at least. I don't understand this. It's because it's starting to feel like a web series because it's so short. But I don't know. I'm sure she's heard this 1,000,002 times, and it is what it is. But yeah, I'm interested to see how it ends. This week's show comes on at 11 p.m. and I believe it's 45 minutes for the season finale. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I really need the characters to grow up just a little bit, because it's becoming kind of ridiculous in a sense. Because you're like, okay, there's no way in hell you reacted like this. That doesn't make any sense. But they're just trying to tell a story. So that's that. Whatever. Other than that, there's this whole Trump thing. I haven't talked politics in quite some time because it's been kind of the same bullshit, but I was very saddened to hear about him trying to remove the DACA, or do they call it DACA? I'm going to say DACA, which means Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Program. They're trying to phase out the program that spares young undocumented immigrants from deportation. And that puts almost 800,000 dreamers on edge. And basically, a lot of people who only know the U.S. So basically, if you don't understand what this means is, there are a lot of children who were brought here, let's say 25 to 30 years ago, illegally by their parents. But they got citizenship here. And so they were protected by DACA. They're called Dreamers, and it keeps them from being deported. So basically, they learned English, they went to school here, they work here, and this was blocking them from being sent away to a place they may not even know. A lot of these people were lived here their whole lives. And so Trump, in an attempt to delete all that Obama did in his 8 years, is trying to he's phasing out this bill. So now, basically, these people, their time is going to expire within the next 2 years. And without a congressional kind of sign off, they'll be deported to where they were born. And this is terrible. Can you imagine? Actually, you don't have to imagine. If you're Black, okay, we all originate in Africa. Okay, how about that? We were brought here against our will years and years and years and years and years ago. Imagine the same bill, which it ain't too far off, coming up and saying, hey, if you are Black or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. You got to be deported to Africa. A lot of us have never even been to Africa. I know I haven't been to Africa. I don't know anything about Africa outside of what has been taught in history books. You know, that's flawed as fuck. You know what I mean? Imagine being sent back or sent to for the first time because that's where you originated and being just like, what the fuck? Like, it goes against everything that you know because you've been in America. That's what's happening to these people. And it's sad that we live in this country that is just so hateful of immigrants and so hateful of people that don't look like us. And then we really feel like they're like, the whole idea is that they're stealing jobs and they're doing all this stuff now, or that they're committing crimes. And the way that Trump is talking about them on Twitter, because he's trash, is like, oh, these illegal aliens and, you know, they're committing crimes and we need to protect Americans. Okay, 90% of the Dreamers are employed and zero crime has been committed by them. It's bullshit. Stop talking about these people like they're not humans. They're fucking humans. Like, man, like, I just don't. No, I can't even say I don't get it. I do get it. It's just, it's racism, and it's gonna run out. This is going to run out. Like, this is literally kind of like the final straw when it comes to middle America and their hatred for everyone who doesn't look like them. Because the thing about it is, we're growing larger than they are. Population wise, give it 20 years, we're going to actually outnumber them, if not sooner. And I think they know, or they fear, some kind of retribution is going to happen. But the problem is they're acting out of that fear and being even more hateful instead of trying to actually ease the gap, because they know that there's going to be something that's going to happen that's going to turn the tables, because that's karma. And all of this shit that's happening right now is trash, man. Like, it's trash. I can't even believe it. I cannot believe it. But that's all I'm going to say about that. It's just, you can read more about it everywhere because it's Trump, but that's that. And then in other, like, devastating news, so Hurricane Harvey, I mean, really laid it into Texas, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of people who are without homes and nowhere to go, and lost, you know, people who've lost their lives, and it was devastating. And now they're trying to recover from that. And now we have Hurricane Irma that's coming up the Atlantic, and it's going to hit Miami and Puerto Rico and all these other places, Haiti. And it's set to be a very devastating hurricane as well. And right now, I'm just, listen, for those of you guys who really don't believe in global warming, I need you to understand global warming is a real thing. There's no way in hell all of these weather changes will be happening like this, and all this rain in summer and all these things. These are real things. Our earth is like legit sick. Like, it's like legit things going on, and it's because of how we operate in this world, you know? But anyway, that's not the point. The thing is, we have this big hurricane about to hit this side, and it's a scary time right now. It's a scary time. And so I just want to send positive energy to all those affected by Hurricane Harvey. I want to send positive energy to people who may be affected by Hurricane Irma, but shit's crazy right now. But all I can say is live your best life. Like, do what makes you happy. Cut off terrible relationships. Focus on priorities. Focus on your own happiness. Don't take shit too seriously. Get what you deserve now, because shit's a little crazy right now. And whew, it is. But that's enough about what's going on. As far as a main topic, I just have a little bit of something. It's not much, but I just kind of wanted to, I guess, clarify and explain who I am a little bit, because I think perception is interesting. And okay, so this is my stance on perception. I've never been one to try to control what people think of me, because that has nothing to do with me. I learned a long time ago that opinions are based on experiences, what people have gone through, and things that people have gone through, what they've been taught by their families, and basically all of their experiences are combined to create their worldview. So a lot of times what people think of you doesn't always have anything to do with you. Yeah, you have actions that you put before them, but how they're actually analyzing those actions are based on their upbringing and their views of the world. And that's why two people can see a situation and look at it completely different and be like, where we look at the same person, we read things differently. So I try to get too caught up in what people think of me, but I also want to make sure that I am always being a decent human being, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I do want to make people feel, like pleasant around me, if that makes sense. So that's as far as it goes. But all that extended shit where people judge you without knowing you shit, I don't give a fuck about all that. But when it comes to interactions, I do want it to be warm. I never want anyone to feel like I'm shading them or I don't want to be around them and stuff like that. And the reason I'm talking about this is because with me doing the podcast and with me being on Instagram and stuff like that, there are people who feel like they know me because I do this weekly. I show up and, it becomes this thing like, oh, okay. And there are people who want to connect with me. And I appreciate that. I think that's dope. I'm glad that I've created a platform that allows people to feel like I'm their friend, that they connect with me. But there's two things that I want to point out. I am an ambivert, which means I am equally introverted and extroverted. I can talk to a room full of strangers. I can be in an elevator with somebody, talk to them, smile, have a whole conversation. It's nothing for me. But I also have times where I like to be by myself and I don't want to deal with people. Well, over time, I've also become I'm very limited on who I allow into my world, if that makes sense. So I'm not a big fan of doing things with people when I first meet them, if that makes sense. So, for example, if I've never met you or if I just met you, I'm going to be a little skeptical of, coming to your place or going to hang out somewhere or anything like that because I like to read energy for a while. And I know that may seem weird to some people, but I'm big on energy. And if your energy isn't right, I really don't want to fuck with you. And as I get older, I've become very skeptical of new friends. I'm an advocate for no new friends, even though I'm always adding people because of their energy. It's all about energy to me. I have to feel you out. I have to know what you're about before I start, coming to your parties and your dinners and your house. And I'm just not that guy. And I'm sure I've rubbed some people wrong because they'll invite me and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to be able to come. Or, or I'm just not as warm as they would like me to be because they listen to the podcast or they see me online, always smiling, and they see me out with my friends and they think like, oh yeah, Kevin, yeah, he'll come to my party and he'll do this. But I'm not really that guy. Like, I'm always going to be cordial. I'll never be rude to anyone on purpose. That's not my thing. For like, why would you even do that? I'll be sweet, I'll be kind, but it's not easy for me to just call someone a friend. I got to feel you out. And because I know that I have a lot of intricacies about myself, a lot of sensitivities, a lot of things, a lot of quirks, to say the least, about myself. And my real friends know about them and my friends know me. And that's why they're my friends, because I don't have to teach them like how I operate. They've learned it, if that makes sense. So I'm at the place where I don't like teaching new niggas things about me. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things I don't want to go through that. So I'm very weird about new people, to say the least. And I just want to kind of say, as a whole, it's definitely not you. It's all me. Just filling out your energy. And I'm pretty quick about it. Like, I can meet, like, for example, on Sunday, I met this young lady and I thought she was cool as fuck. And I actually ended up exchanging numbers with her and said, you know what, girl, let's hang out. She was from DC and we were vibing, but her energy was right. Like, it was cool. Like, she had like this radiance to herself that I was like, she seems super, super cool. And I was like, you know what? I could connect with her, that's rare for me to just be that instant with it. But I was like, let's just exchange numbers and get to know each other because this could be a possible, acquaintance or friendship. But there's some people you meet And I observe things too. There's some people you meet, their energy isn't right, meaning, they seem very rude. I don't like a lot of cattiness. I don't like a lot of, if I notice you being with a certain, I'm talking about that negative shit. I don't want to connect with you because I'm like, one day you're going to turn that shit on me and I'm not going to be cool with it. I'm big on that. I pay attention to responses. I pay attention to how people react to things. It's like, it's big for me. And it causes me not to want to be around certain people. That's all I'm saying, ultimately. But it's certainly not always about, me feeling like I'm too good or anything like that. That's never my stance. But I'm just in a different place in my life now. I don't befriend just anyone. I used to. And I realized that it had a terrible weight on me. Like in my early 20s, I used to be friends with anyone. I was a people person. I wanted to be around, I wanted to go to everything. I wanted to be around everyone. But I realized I took on a lot of that negativity that came from people that I didn't really vet, And I learned like, nah, you can't just be around everyone. You can't. Like, I like a certain type of vibe everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. And if that vibe isn't there, I bounce. Because protect your peace. Like I said before, there's too much going on in the world to not be at your happiness and not be living your best life. So why would I spend my time around people that I don't want to spend my time around? So that's that. I hope I conveyed my point. Don't ever think I'm shading you because that's never my goal. I'm just very weird about new people because it's kind of not scary, but it's just odd for people to kind of know everything about you, i.e. because of the podcast and when I talk about and know all these details about you, but you don't know anything about them. They're like, oh, hey, Kevin, and how was this? And, oh, you're doing this, and I love your journey with this. And I'm like, thank you. But then I'm like, what is your name? What do? You have to do this whole thing where you have to, it's odd for me. So I can't always, So to those of you who probably invited me out or anything like that, I'm not shading you, I promise. I'm just very weird about new people because I don't know you. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just facts. I don't know you. And yeah, that's that. But yeah, that's really all I have today. I can't believe it's September. I cannot believe, September got here so quick. Like, we're in the final quarter of the year. And September is going to go by so fast. I actually want it to because I have some really big events this month that I want to get over with because anxiety is crazy. Both of these events are huge, especially for my portfolio, but just making sure everything is ordered, making sure I have the right equipment, making sure that equipment works, then the final process of editing and just that whole ordeal. I'm ready for it to be October, so it's all behind me. But at the same time, it's another great experience and I'm grateful, but yeah, this year is moving quickly. We'll be in 2018 in no time, but I can't wait to be in Barcelona in December 1st, though. I'm really looking forward to that. But, yep, that's it. Quick show today. I didn't have much for you all, but I hope you have an amazing week, and I will talk to you all next week. Please subscribe on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music. Go to kevindewayne.com. for everything. Tell your friends about it. Comment, rate it 5 stars. Please, 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 please. And yeah, have a great week, you guys. Peace out.